Do you ever have one of those matches in Apex where somebody just so happens to proclaim themselves the leader? I mean, hey, if somebody's making callouts in convincing fashion, then I'm definitely inclined to follow their lead. However, sometimes that can lead to more problems than I'm willing to admit. For those of you who, just like me, came to Apex after having played Overwatch, you might be familiar with a simple concept that is, it doesn't matter if what we do is wrong, as long as we do it wrong together. And while going down with the ship is an honorable way of taking the L, in Apex, following somebody's obviously wrong calls can easily send you back to the lobby. But that raises a very important question. What does qualify one to be the leader? Well, that is what today's story is going to put into question, so you better salute your commanding officer, make sure those boots are polished, and get ready to fight to the death, because our story today takes place on World's Edge. Now, the problem with being a team leader is that you have to take a lot of responsibility, and for most people, a single responsibility is already way too many. Nobody wants to be the one to blame when a wrong callout costs everybody a bunch of RP, but if no one takes the lead, that can be just as detrimental. Of course, the start of the match was much like many other. We collectively voted on a desired to drop location, which the Jumpmaster was then responsible to get us to. Today, we opted for the medium spicy approach. We still wanted to be close to other squads for a heated early game, but being at the edge of the city allows us to fall back if we get bad loot RNG. And to say that we had bad loot RNG would be an understatement. Equipped with an RE45, I was ready to leave for the countryside while Josh didn't find any weapon period. Though as it turned out, Echo did not care about that in the slightest. Let's back out, huh?
There's people in here. We can take the fight on them.
Okay, if you're confident. They picked this clean. Oh crap, we're committed now.
What the f? There's somebody on the roof of this building. Watch out.
I'm behind.
There's a guy right here. There's a Valkyrie.
I have to heal. Echo had run us into a war zone. The sound of gunshots and explosions was accentuated by his occasional use of profanity while Josh and I were trying to find a way out. It may not have been a fight we wanted to take, but it was now a fight we had to finish. And it was very apparent to me that Echo was living in his own bubble at that point because he continued to make callouts while on the ground in sheer disregard of our current positioning. Neither of us were anywhere near him, and if we were, chances are we would be down as well. In fact, Josh did end up in that exact situation as a result of him trying to help. Now, as you watch me hide away in an attempt of saving our chances to win, I need to make something very clear. Despite the fact that Josh is the one who picked Octane, this story is not about him. Since you see, only because Echo picked Bloodhound does not mean he won't play them like they're Octane. You can put the player on a different legend, but you can't take the legend out of the player, and if there's one thing you need to know about Echo, it's that he likes to go fast. Quick history lesson. EchoFlex is a streamer known for a few things, one of which is playing Lucio in Overwatch, but he is also known for having reached a literal rank 1 of the competitive support leaderboard not once, but twice. Needless to say that he's quite the video game virtuoso, and that comes with a lot of confidence. So despite the fact that Echo has literally just begun playing Apex for the very first time, he was not shy to take the lead. And as is evidenced by our current situation, that can cause a few problems. Because unlike Josh and I, he was yet to make all the beginner mistakes that ultimately keep you from making stupid decisions. But that doesn't mean that I'm planning to leave him behind. All we needed was a bit of time to heal up and wait for the remaining squads to ignite the gunpowder keg once more. And as soon as we heard gunshots, Josh was off to pick up his banner while I ran the opposite direction to make sure we can come out of this lobby with at least some amount of RP to our names. And surprisingly enough, despite some of the enemy squads turning around to lay into our speeding friend over here, the mission was a success. Though that didn't mean that we were out of the woods just yet. While I had 11 bullets to my name, our general loot situation was looking very dire, though Echo decided to continue commanding our team even from beyond the grave.
You guys should get onto the top of that building. Get onto the top of that building and res me. Like the big one.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a gun yet, by the way.
Really?
Oh, that's great.
I've been saying the whole time I don't have a gun, and you guys like, let's go and fight him.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe you should have listened to Josh.
Yeah, we probably should have listened to Josh. I did 100 damage though.
Nice.
I punched the guy to death.
Oh crap.
Oh shit.
No shot!
We run.
Maybe get into the top of the building. They'll
Are you
forget about
trolling? There's people that already looted this whole place.
That's like the only place you can go though.
Like,
Oh,
I've got
God.
my jump pad, if you want to.
Yeah, drop it. Okay, that's gonna work. Oh, nice.
They're gonna jump on that jump pad. I think I should have thrown a grenade on it or something.
Well, we don't have
I
grenades.
don't have. You know what I've got? I have my finger guns right now. That's about it.
Lit. I'm reasonably confident that every Apex player has been in that situation before. A really scuffed early game drop with a couple bad decisions, and suddenly our entire experience turns into a survival game more than a battle royale. Luckily for us, the shots that these guys were taking at us attracted another squad that now kept them occupied, while Josh and I were trying to loot up while bringing Echo back to the land of the living. It was a miracle that we survived up until that point, but the game wasn't over yet. Thankfully, no other squad had dropped in this area, allowing us to obtain the early game loot that we were denied on our initial landing. Seeing as how we knew that there definitely were enemy squads right around the corner, as well as the fact that the first ring tickles more than it burns, we decided to tank the damage to make sure that this time we are combat ready. Now, as we sit around the proverbial campfire, tending to our wounds and reviewing what happened to lead us to this exact scenario, I think we should talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. In essence, the Dunning-Kruger effect highlights that people with the least amount of knowledge in a subject are often the ones who overestimate their own ability in that given subject the most. Look at it that way, if you start learning about something, you'll grab onto the basics really fast, building on your competence as well as your confidence. But it isn't until you reach the intermediate stage of progression that you realize how much more there is to learn. It is the lack of perspective beyond the horizon that makes beginners not realize how far they are from complete mastery, which inflates their ego and makes it much more difficult for them to accurately judge their own competence. Or to paraphrase Barney here for a second, the worst kind of moron is one that speaks with conviction of a subject they clearly know nothing about. And while that doesn't necessarily only apply to idiots, it is an easy way of remembering what this is about. Now, why am I talking about this right now? If you've been following along with this series, you'll know that my current state of progression in Apex is that of an intermediate player. I've gotten good enough at the game to realize just how much more there is to learn to truly be considered a strong player. But Echo has not yet reached that point. In fact, his general gaming prowess was probably inflating his confidence to disproportionate degrees, leading them confidently making all the wrong decisions. Now, as I said before, every new player has to go through a phase of learning from their mistakes, so I wasn't inclined to tell him otherwise every step of the way. More than anything, I wanted to support him as much as I can so that he can see his mistakes through to the end. And yes, dying during the very first gunfight of a match was part of that process. But to further aid his progression, I wanted to equip him with as much information as I can leading into this final fight. They're still on top of that building, and they're being shot from that high ground over there.
Somebody just fell? Let's kill him.
You're living dangerously.
Wait,
There's on the roof, on the roof, on the roof.
You guys are taking that thing? He just dropped. I need a shield battery. You kill him. I need you. Give me suppressing fire.
Suppressing them, alright? At that point, I really started to question my hypothesis. Maybe it wasn't that Echo suffered from Dunning-Kruger syndrome after all, because looking at his actions, it really appeared as though he was just playing like your average Octane player. The moment he spots an enemy, he immediately sees red and wants to engage them with reckless abandon, and was only due to sheer luck that he hasn't been punished for it. But I suppose that there was no point in complaining about milk that is yet to be spilled. Me telling him to take the threat of high ground occupation seriously is not gonna do a dang thing unless he feels the consequences firsthand. And as fate would have it, his bloodthirst was eager to prove it.
Wait, somebody just landed over there. Yo, it's just yo, wait. Come over here, follow me. Somebody's gonna go res. Somebody's gonna go res.
There's no way. My meds. You alone, Echo. I'm not with you. Dropping a subtle hint that maybe what he was about to do was not a good idea without explicitly telling him not to do it. After all, teaching is more effective when the student comes up with the answer on their own. But only Josh and I seem to be on the same page about not wanting to drop from low ground to even lower ground, especially in light of that third squad literally staring at us from the top of their building. But Echo was already in full Octane mode.
He's 1 HP. He has no shields. He's behind this crate.
He's not 1 HP.
Melee him, melee him. Yeah, the guy that's shooting me right now, he's a Valkyrie that's kind of long. Oh, there's 2 squads.
Echo, that was really thirsty. There's no way I live here.
Can you chill?
Nope. They're above me now, I don't know what to do.
second. Murder him. Young just shields.
Self-res. Well, yeah, there was definitely a lesson in, well, a lot of things actually. This entire match was like a long string of bad decisions culminating in what was quite possibly the worst decision you can make, willingly forsaking high ground for the sake of an easy kill. However, this wouldn't be a good story if there wasn't a chance for redemption, and Echo wouldn't have conquered the competitive ladder of Overwatch wasn't it for a very rare skill set that only few players on the internet possess: pattern recognition.
Oh,
what the heck? Whew.
It's a what the
Sir, that's so... No!
Wait, what happens to the loot?
It's gone now. It's in the void.
Unlucky.
The RP gods are taking it.
Unlucky. Okay, we need to get high ground. I don't like going into this area without like having like a good position to hold. So there's 10 people left. I mean, even if we push this right now, we're not gonna get third partied.
Oh, I'm getting lased.
No, behind us, behind us. Nope, there's a lifeline package behind us. We have to focus on this right now.
Somebody's coming up, I think.
Right here. Push the lifeline, whatever. Thank you. Shit, full Exodia, what the?
Oh, jeez.
This is out the circle, guys. You guys sure about this?
Just don't want to get shot as well.
One in there.
Sorry, I'm just farming damage because I did barely anything this game.
No, let me put a jump pad down right here.
I need to stop running in front of you.
They're right there. There's a lot of death boxes in here. There's also a Loba shop. Oh, they just got down. Like a lot of them. I think I'm gonna put jump pad here and just jump in. I'm just
One left,
in.
one right.
Okay, I just jumped into the middle of the squad, but screw it. Loba's very low. Got Loba. Last squad member for that guy's over here.
Good one.
Nice!
Yo,
Let's go!
I jumped in the middle of everyone.
Man,
I came with you.
I just can I just say I barely did anything this game, and this was really well played by both of you, especially Echo. Just always prioritizing the positioning. It was really well played.
Heck yeah, we're getting better, bros.
Heck yeah!
I wonder how much points I'm getting for this.
Yeah, I wonder how much points I'm
Like
getting for
200?
this. Give me like 300 for this.